Hello, this is Nadia Dalimonte, and welcome to the Next Best Picture podcast. Today, we were going behind the glittery scenes of The Last Showgirl, directed by Gia Coppola and starring Pamela Anderson. It's a beautiful story that really celebrates the power of being seen and really living in pursuit of your art and going for your dreams. And joining me now to talk about the film, it's my pleasure to introduce Gia and Pamela. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Thank you both so much for your time. It's such a pleasure. I was lucky enough to see the film at TIFF actually a couple of months ago, and it was so incredibly moving to listen to the Q&A afterwards and just that pure expression of love and solidarity. And I imagine for the two of you, it must have been a very special moment to share together.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's very special. Um, I was really adamant that the cast should wait to see the movie with an audience, and see it on a big screen rather than just at home alone on a link. So to
Yeah.
get to sit next to Pamela and share that experience with her was really exciting. And yeah, it was so amazing to like see all the reactions afterwards. I wasn't expecting it to be so emotional, but it was really such a gift in a lot of ways.
Yes, it was very exciting and so nice to see with everybody, with an audience, with a community of people, which is always the best way to see a movie. So that's, I love that this movie will be on the big screen for people to see because it's the best experience that way.
Yeah, it's absolutely communal. And the two of you in telling the story, I feel, are such a dream pairing. And I wanted to start by asking about your first meeting because this movie almost didn't happen. And so what were those early conversations like? And how did you find each other to get this film made?
Well, I think the movie was always going to happen. It's just if I was going to be able to play Shelley or not. Then thank God I finally got the script. My son, Brandon Lee, he brought me the script because it was turned down by my old agent. I have a new agent. And so that was when I got the script and I read it, I was just very excited and couldn't wait to call Gia and get it started.
Yeah, it was I feel like it took a minute to like from initial conversation to actually getting to set because there was different strikes and holidays um and I was 9 months pregnant when Pamela and I finally met in person. So it was just a wild journey but it was nice to have that moment of just kind of keeping a conversation going, sharing images and references and just kind of living with it internally before we kind of output it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
started working on it right away. I have a wonderful acting teacher, Ivana Chubbuck, and I worked with her on when I played Roxy in Chicago on Broadway and this film. So it gave me, you know, lots of time to work on it multiple times to bring as much as I possibly could to Vegas. I mean, shooting the movie in 18 days was a feat in itself. So I knew I had to come very ready and then throw that all out the window and let Gia do what she wanted with me. But I was working on it immediately.
Yeah, and Pamela, I imagine it must have been thrilling to work alongside Gia and her decisiveness as well, and knowing that you were the perfect person to play this role. And as Shelley, you're sharing this incredible talent that you've always had within you with this extraordinary performance and this fire that's burning from within. What drew you to Shelley's journey?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, there's obvious parallels, but just to be able to investigate the woman holding up the rhinestones, I say that, you know, there's so much to a person and you see one facade, you kind of see the one dimension, but what is she going to make for dinner? What is she, her problems with her raising her children and her relationships. And, the working class of Las Vegas is really fascinating. The people that make Las Vegas sparkle without any credit. We had such a great community of people there too, helping us, and to be able to talk to the Jubilee showgirls themselves, and I had tea with them over at my house, talking about stories and their disappointments, their excitements, how it all worked. We hope we make them proud. They haven't seen the film yet, so we're really excited to get this film out to the world for people to see.
And I can't wait for more people to see it. And what I love about your character as well is that even though this razzle dazzle show is closing, she still unapologetically loves what she does. You know, there's the great line of being bathed in the lighting night after night, and she won't let herself feel bad about what she does. And I love that we get to see her stand up for her own ambition.
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, I got to a point in my career too where I just didn't want to explain myself anymore. It's like, no, this is important. What I've done is the best I can do, and I've worked really hard, and I love what I do, and sometimes we find ourselves explaining ourselves, especially as women,
Yeah.
and while we're raising our kids, and that dinner scene where that conversation was so interesting. It's like, it just doesn't matter what you do. You should have done something else. And I thought that was just really relatable. But I have some people in my family that sparkle from head to toe. I think everybody, as they get even older in my family, gets sparklier. So I am very hopeful for the film. Hopeful. I think the film is very hopeful. I think Shelley will always sparkle, and reinvention is key to, not get stuck somewhere, but to just take that, these are crossroads that we all face, but to make something of it, and use it as fuel.
Yeah, and Gia, you capture that sparkle so greatly. It's an intimate style of filmmaking that I feel like we don't see a lot of anymore, and we get really up close and personal with what makes Shelley sparkle, whether it's her optimism or literally the sparkles on her costumes. And I'm wondering what inspired that decision to frame her and the characters, all the characters really, in so intimately.
Um, I mean, a lot of it in the script, because it was sort of based off a play, it really is about the characters. And so really kind of, and Autumn, my cinematographer, also was really, it was partly her guidance of like, we should just be in their world. And another part of it was just circumstance. We're a small movie. We don't have a lot of lighting budget, so everything, and we really wanted to shoot on film, so everything needed to be close because we're either have a lot of mirrors around us, Autumn is holding the camera, we don't have a lot of lighting budget, so um, it's a bit of both.
Yeah. And what was so interesting as well is that we really get a focus on the showgirls backstage as opposed to seeing them on stage performing, which I found so interesting because there's almost like a choreography to how they move back there. You know, they're in the rush of a show in progress, they're going back and forth. There's also having conversations about life in between costume changes, and all of these elements come together so gently. And I wanted to know, what was it like for the two of you to kind of find that rhythm and that energy backstage?
Well, there is a choreography when it comes to how to take these costumes on and off, quick changes, what comes off first, second, third, and then to be able to take them off and put them on and have these, long scenes and have mirrors and the camera, handheld. It was really, I think, but like Gia says, like the obstacles make it special, like the challenges are what dictates the story too. And Kate Gerson's the dialogue I thought was so beautifully written, and all the characters were so beautifully written, that to see all these generations of women hitting similar crossroads and seeing how everybody is dealing with that. And then Dave Bautista's performance was so kind and heartfelt and different than anything he's ever done. And then Jamie's transformation, she loves to transform into these very fearless, interesting, colorful, fun to watch characters. And then Gia just took all these wild people and corralled them and figured out how to make this with such a limited budget and on film, which was, makes the stakes even higher, and the limited time. And I don't know, I think everyone really poured their heart into this, and it was a labor of love for everybody. And I think when you compare this film to, I think it's just such a nice film to go to. I mean, it's about, our imperfections and our dreams, but it's about second chances too. And so I think it's not a exploitive film in any way. It's really has so much heart, and anybody can go see it. So that's what's next. I mean, this has been kind of in this whole year. We shot it in January. It's coming out in January. That's a quick turnaround too. And the music, I mean, Miley's song, Andrew and Miley, it takes so much to make a special piece of work like this.
Yeah, and speaking of the music, there's such a dreamy quality to that song, to the score, to just the way that the film is shot as well, and even the portrait of Las Vegas. I mean, capturing the city in a way that's often not often portrayed on screen. We're so used to seeing the city lit up at night and shining in all of its glory, and in this film, I think by showing how the strip looks during the day, it kind of gives us a grounded sense of place, and we're thinking about, okay, what do these characters do when they're not performing? And I was wondering, could you talk, Gia, more about the Vegas that you wanted to convey in this film?
Yeah, I've always had a fascination and appreciation for Vegas. Even since college, I was a photography major, and when I would drive cross country to sort of bring my car home or back to school, I would always stop in Vegas and take photos and just kind of observe and wonder what the day-to-day life is like there. And that's always stayed with me, and I was always sort of searching for a project that would allow me to live there and want and like really know what that life is like. And I just find that landscape so interesting and so symbolic for America in a lot of ways. And then Kate's story was just like so perfect. It really kind of gets that message across of what our culture kind of values, and how we just are so quick to discard anything that doesn't sort of isn't, consumerist based. And it's a mother-daughter story. It's a story at its heart, and I was raised by a single mom, and I relate to also your sort of chosen family when you're working in that kind of intimate setting. And I love that it's sort of just the back of the house world, and you're not seeing the show until the very end. But yeah, getting to immerse myself in that lifestyle, and having the local community really be supportive and helping us convey the most authentic version. I just was sort of following the paths of our characters, which led us down the sort of daylight of Vegas, which is I really didn't draw to other movies for this project. It was a lot of photography or documentary or journalism that was kind of the mode of inspiration.
Yeah, and speaking.
Nadia, we got to wrap up from here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Quite some time.
Scary.
Okay. Well, as we wrap, I've got one last question I let you go. I know that this film is getting a lot of love, and there's also what's being called a Pamisance that's been happening within the last little bits. And just earlier this week, you got a Golden Globe nomination for your performance, which so well deserved. Congratulations. And I just wanted to know, what's it been like for the two of you to just experience all of this support and to be on this journey with this incredible film?
Well, for me, it's just I'm all in. I don't know. I'm just taking it day by day, but it's just been wonderful for people to see me kind of in this new light. I feel like there was life before the film and life after. It's completely different.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. I'm just so grateful to Gia and Kate and everybody that worked on the film, because it's a team sport.
I think this was my greatest hope, was after seeing her documentary, and seeing how underestimated as an artist she is or was, and how much of an artist she is, to kind of have things come out like this is just long deserved and really exciting, and I'm just elated.
And myself as well. Thank you both so much for your time and for joining me. I feel like I could talk to you about this film for hours. There's so much to dive into, but I really appreciate your time, and congratulations to you both on this film and your fantastic performance, Pamela.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.